Hi, it's Laura with Following the Paper Trail, and today is the 10th day of Christmas. We're almost done with these projects. I am going to be continuing projects after these 12 days, but it's going to be like a weekly project. I'll have more about that closer to Christmas. It's going to start the day after Christmas, but I'll give you more information about that later. Sorry, just ran up the stairs, so I'm a little out of breath. Anyway, what I want to show you today is how you can start dressing up your table. Here I've done a candle, and I'm going to show you how to make some of these lace fabric paper flowers. To start with, you're going to be making just a sleeve that goes on any candle. That way you can change it out. You don't have to leave it on there. So you're going to have a paper band going around it. Just cut the strip the width you want it. Here I've cut a cream color one and then some of this Ancestry.com paper because I set my table in aquas, greens, and purples because that's what color my dishes are. Anyway, then you just measure it around your candle. Then you can switch your candle out depending on the time of the year. I also have some acetate up above this part so that I could put some bling on there and the candle will show through. So I'm going to show you how to make these different flowers. Let's start out with this flower right here. This flower uses, let me slide that back a bit, put the black on there so you can see the lace and such. This flower uses this lace, and I didn't cut it off of the yardage until I knew that with this lace, which I got at Joann's, it's very readily available. It's an offray lace, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I knew that I needed 8 of these little petal things. You're then going to take a needle and thread, and through that little bead along the edge, you're just going to run a running stitch, which is just a stitch that goes in and out, in and out. And then you're going to pull it tight, and when it gathers all up, it'll go into a circle. Oops, I'm out of frame. It'll make a circle. And so, and then you just tie it off. Spray it with glimmer mist, all that kind of good stuff. And then this kind of cabbage rose here in the center, it's just a classic using a wired ribbon. This is not something I invented. This has been around for a long time. Pull out about 1/2 inch or so of the wires, twist them together. Down at this other end, I pull one side out, kind of just fold it back over itself. Just fold it back, and then the other side, I'm going to pull it tight. And you just keep pulling. It's like it's already got that running stitch in there for you with that wire in there. And this is just, there's probably YouTube videos, books, all sorts of things out on making ribbon roses using this method. Okay, so once I got it as tight as it'll go, I'll pull that other wire out on this other side, twist the two of them together, and then just kind of tucking that ends to the inside, I just wrap it like so. And then I usually just take everything on the back and kind of gather it all together and wrap that wire around a few times like so, and then you can crunch it all back out again. And the wire helps you to kind of form it on itself. And that's how fast and easy it is to make that ribbon rose. Then you can just be gluing it on. Now, to glue all this stuff on it, I just used my hot glue gun. When all else fails, it's the crafter's friend. And it sure helped make this a whole lot easier gluing this stuff on. So you just need some of the ribbon, and I used 8 petals with this ribbon. And I used a little over 1 yard of this wired ribbon. So the next one I want to show you is this one that combines some fabric netting and some prima flowers. So with this one I use some kind of stiff netting. You can find this in most fabric stores in the bridal department. So I have 2 of those, and these all use this Sizzix dye. I made these flowers all just with, this is the only Sizzix flower dye that I have. Now, one of the things I had a couple people ask me about with this when they saw my paper roses is, how do I not have that center hole? because the die itself, it's got a mess on it. It's got a hole in it. What I do, and you got to be super careful. Promise me if you're going to try this, you be super ooper duper duper careful. I pull this rubber out of there and the center, and then with some pliers, and it's not easy, but I pull those centers out because I didn't want those big old honking holes in the middle. And so I pulled those out, put the rubber back in. But mega sharp, mega razor blade sharp. So be awesomely careful if you're going to even attempt it. I don't recommend it. I'm just saying this is what I do. Then I have some more little bit lighter netting that has some sparkle on it. And I have 2 of those. Then I have some organza in aqua, and I have 1 of those in that size and 1 in the smaller size. And then I have 2 sizes of the Prima flowers, and I'm just going to stack them up, making sure they're offset. So the 2 coarser nettings, the 2 sparkly nettings, the organza, the Prima flower, and I've done a little bit of white chalk ink on there, the little one, then the little Prima, and then I'm going to take my paper piercer, or my pokey tool as I called it, but Velma emailed me and said it's called a paper piercer after I couldn't remember what it was called. Pierce that through, and then I have some really cute brads that have a pearl center, and I just pop that through the center. Boom, boom. Great way to dress up, real fast and easy way to dress up a Prima flower. Of course, you got to spritz it with glimmer mist so it's all fancy pretty. So that's that one. That's this guy right here. And then for these that kind of look like little fuchsias, what I've got there, and I'll show you what I did with one of these purple ones, is I did a fabric. The Sizzix dyes work awesome on fabric. I haven't tried any of the other kinds, but the Sizzix, in fact, there is a system out. AccuCut has a system out to cut fabric called the AccuQuilt. Then I also have a purple organza one. Layer those one on top of each other. Then I've got these little stamen, flower stamen things that you can get. And these are in the flower department at like Michael's. And I'm sure they have them at Joann's too. Or if you go to any place that sells silk flowers, you're going to be able to get these. You're also going to need some of the florist tape that's kind of got a resin-like stickiness to it. But I take this, I usually put a little dab of hot glue on the end, stick it down in the middle, and then just gather it. Whoops, got it stuck down. Just roughly gather it up around that. Then I'm going to take a needle and thread. I'm not going to actually stitch this one. Well, I will, and I'll just take it apart because I want to glue that center in. Just take a stitch through there, and then I take my thread. I would also normally do this in a coordinating thread, but so that you could see it on camera, I decided to do it in this tan. I wrap it around several times, and then just do a couple of stitches to tie it off. And that's how quick and easy that one is. My stamens aren't going to stay in the middle. I have some sticks that are left over from some plastic, some silk flowers that I've harvested, as I call it, the flowers off of. I take this little flower guy on here, hot glue them on the end, and then I take my florist tape. Let me see if I can show it to you on here. I take the florist tape and wrap it around, coming down the stem a little ways. The beauty of this stuff is it doesn't have to be perfect when you wrap it, because then you can just squeeze it around and the resin in there kind of sticks to itself. And so then you can get those cool flowers. But so that gives you 3 different flowers: a lace and ribbon flower, an embellished Prima flower, and then these little fuchsia flower guys that I've got right here. And then you can just add them to a candle. This candle used about 10 inches around of the paper and the acetate. You can take that 2-inch piece that I had left over. You can hook it together, and I just used tape dots to hook it together. You can hook it together, put some more flowers on this, and then you can have matching napkin rings that can match your candle, so you can dress your table up. I know this one isn't super Christmassy, just because the colors that I use on my table are more winter than Christmas. Because let me tell you, I got Christmas everywhere in my house. In fact, I might do a video on Sunday to show you my villages. But anyway, this is the colors that I use on my table. but you can do it with any kind of Christmas colors. If you don't want to make these kinds of flowers, you can also just use silk flowers. But just do a paper sleeve with some acetate around a candle. If you get a neutral candle, then you can make it pretty much any color. But anyway, check out my blog, followingthepapertrail.blogspot.com for more info, and we'll see you soon.